Great, you've made the first step and have decided to move from your spreadsheets into Xero. Hi everyone and welcome to this webinar, Convert from Spreadsheets to Xero. My name is Ange and I'm part of the Xero education team. Small business is at the heart of our purpose and we care very deeply about you, our customers. And in these challenging times, we want to provide you with all the support we can and educate you to convert your spreadsheets into Xero efficiently and effectively. So thanks for taking some time out to join me today as I show you that changing systems doesn't need to be hard, especially when you're converting from your spreadsheets. And you can utilize a cloud-based system like Xero to not only get time back in your day, but to also make better decisions in moving your business forward. In the next 45 minutes, I'm going to take you through when the best time is to convert to Xero, what information to gather upon the conversion process. I'll go through some basic settings in Xero which are important when setting up. I'll then show you how to import your information such as chart of accounts, invoices and bills into Xero. And then we'll go through any next steps. So let's get started with when the best time is to convert. You can start using Xero at any time you wish, but we recommend setting your start date, which in Xero we call your conversion date, to either the beginning of a financial year or the beginning of your sales tax reporting period. So I'll explain more about these two options now. Firstly, you could start at the beginning of your new financial year, and you'd choose this if you'd like to have a full year of information in Xero when it comes to your advisor doing your accounts. So with your prior year closed down and completed, you can enter these year-end balances as your opening balance for your new financial year in Xero. So to repeat, your closing balance from your previous year-end forms your opening balance in Xero going forward. And usually this option is the easiest approach for your advisor when it comes to them preparing your year-end accounts. If you don't want to start at the beginning of your financial year, another option is to convert to Xero at the start of a sales tax reporting period. So you'd likely choose this option when you just want to get started with Xero and are happy to only have part of this year's financial information in Xero for now. So the idea is that your advisor would come in a later date and just fill in all the gaps for you. So for example, if you're filing your sales tax returns 2 monthly and you've just finalised your December-January return, you may wish to begin Xero from the 1st of February, which is the first period of your next sales tax reporting period. You could imagine it becoming messy converting partway through a sales tax reporting period with filing information from two systems. Therefore, when converting to Xero, it must be at the start of a sales tax period if you're registered for this. Alternatively, you can even start on Xero from your business start date, and that's if you wish to have all your information from commencement in Xero. For example, if your business started in August 2017, you could set your conversion date in Xero to be August 2017, and then bring in all your transactions from that date going forward. It's also important to have all the information you're wanting to bring into Xero to ensure your accounts are accurate upon conversion. This information includes a printout of your previous year's financial statements before converting to Xero, so that's if you choose to start on a new financial year. Any outstanding invoices owed to you at your conversion date, as well as any outstanding bills that you need to pay at your conversion date. And lastly, your closing bank balance per your bank statement at your conversion date. This means if you have all this basic information, you can set up your Xero organization correctly from the get-go. But don't worry if you don't have all this information just yet. You can always come back to it and fill it out later and get help from your advisor. So let's get started by jumping in and taking a look at Xero. In Xero, we have this blue banner across the top of our page, which is how you find your way around. Each of the tabs have a drop-down menu underneath, except for the dashboard, which would redirect you from wherever you are and take you back here, the dashboard, which is what we see right now. And at the moment, our dashboard shows no information, but once this organization is set up and running, there will be a wealth of knowledge sitting right here ready for you to absorb. So the Business tab should hold everything that allows you to run your business, for example, your bank account, invoices and bills, etc. Whereas the Accounting tab holds the features that give you an overview of your business and is more stepping into the accounting side, for example, to run your financial reports. One of the most important first steps in setting up your organization in Xero is making sure your settings are updated. To find the settings option, you need to first click on your organization name in this top left corner, and this will provide a drop-down menu with a few options, and we want to select Settings right here. And this is taking us to this main settings page. Today we'll just be going through certain areas of settings for you to understand the basics of getting set up. So we'll go through organization details, users, and then we'll take a look at financial settings. But make sure to have a look and play around with the other settings on the screen at a later date, just to expand your understanding. So jumping into organization details. Here you just need to fill out your organization's basic information. So the display name is the name that you would like to be displayed in Xero, so on that left top hand corner there. Your legal trading name is what your business is legally known as, and this is a name on your financial reports and invoices, and as required by your tax department. Here you can upload your business logo if you wish, and you can choose whether you want that logo to appear on invoices as well when you send them out. Your line of business is where you'd put a brief description of what goods or services that you provide. So you can see examples here of whether the company is a florist, an architect, or a restaurant, for example. The legal structure of your business depends on how you have been set up. So are you a sole trader? Are you in a partnership? Is your organization a trust, or is it a company? You can select the best option that suits from this drop-down menu here. And if you are unsure of what entity type your business is, it's best to check with your advisor. And then you can just enter your business registration number if you know this, and that's your unique official registration number from your region's company office. And an organization description, here you can just put an optional brief description of your business if you want to. And then you just need to fill out your contact details, including your postal address, your physical address, your telephone, email, and website. And if there are additional contact fields that you'd like to add in here, for example, a Facebook link or a mobile number, you can select the Add Contact field hyperlink and select one from the drop-down here. So now we'll go back to our organization settings screen by clicking on this blue hyperlink. And we'll now take a look into users. So Xero allows you to invite an unlimited number of users into your organization to collaborate on your data in real time. User roles allow you to limit what information is visible and what users can see and do in Xero. So only the subscriber or someone with the Manage Users permission is able to invite new users into Xero or edit access. So this user screen shows you all people who have access to your Xero organization, and underneath the name identifies how much access that user has. The three dots on the right hand side provides you with the option to change the access that user has by clicking Change Permissions. And if you want to invite others to access your Xero organization, such as your employees or even your advisor, it's easy. All you need to do is click on the green Invite a User button. Fill out their relevant information, being their name, email address, and what level of access you want to give them, and then click Send Invite. All they need to do on the receiving end is click the link that appears in their email inbox to accept this information. It is important to note, though, that there are 4 main levels of user access in Xero, being Invoice Only, Standard, Advisor, and Read Only. And it all depends on what job in Xero the user does. So if you click on each option, just like I did before, Xero will tell you what user role this is best suited to. So just make sure to check it out when adding users to your Xero organization to just make sure you're giving them the appropriate level of access. And we'd recommend you giving your advisor this advisor access to your Xero organization, which I've just clicked on. This way, they can assist you along your journey, especially if you run into any bumps on the road. It also makes it easier for you when it comes to your year-end account. So that's user settings done. So we'll just go back to our organization settings. Since some of our basic details have been set up, but what about the financial side of things? We need to check this to make sure that our financial details are in Xero as well. And to get to financial settings, you can click on this blue hyperlink looking for advanced settings. And this is going to direct you to the advanced accounting screen. Other than updating your financial settings, chart of accounts, and conversion balances, which I'm going to take you through today, it's probably best that you don't adjust any of these other financial settings unless you've spoken to your advisor. So now clicking on Financial Settings, this is where you can edit your tax periods and lock dates. The settings you see here are for our Global Xero edition, so other regions may look different. However, the basic premise is still the same. In Xero, the financial year end will default to your region's common financial year end. It sets the date range in your report, for example, your balance sheet. And you'd only adjust this if required by clicking this Change button here. If you have been trading longer than a year, you can check out your prior year financial statements to confirm this date. So moving down the page, we have the sales tax section, and this is where you'd enter your information to ensure your sales tax is completed correctly in Xero. This is so that you can start automatically populating your sales tax returns. However, this feature isn't required unless you are registered to report over sales tax, and if you're unsure whether you're registered or not, it's best to check with your advisor. You need to fill out your tax information relevant to your region, so you can select the appropriate tax basis from the drop-down. So here you have two options, cash basis or accrual basis. And so what this means is, do you calculate sales tax on goods or services when you send out invoices or receive bills, or when you actually pay or receive cash for the goods or services? So basically it's two different ways of recording sales tax and will depend upon what's most appropriate to you. So your advisor is the best person to touch base with if you are unsure whether you're on the right basis. And your tax period is how often you're required to submit a sales tax return. So it's asking, when you registered with your region's tax authority, did you agree to return sales tax every 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, etc.? And now it's just a matter of filling in your company-specific details for sales tax, and boom, that's the tax information ready to go. And if you don't have any of these details, again, it's best to touch base with your advisor. The next option down is tax defaults. So the tax defaults can be set up here to help you make invoicing and entering bills as easy as possible. These settings are giving you the option of when you are entering your bill or creating an invoice in Xero, whether you prefer to enter the price as including sales tax price or the excluding sales tax price. It's completely a personal preference. They are still going to work out the same. It's just important, whichever option you choose, to always check the total in Xero to the total on the bill or invoice every time, especially while you're starting off. And lock dates are to prevent any accidental errors from happening to a previous year's data. Once you have received the financials from your advisor at the end of a financial year, it's best you jump in and lock that year off so no changes can be made. Because if we don't do this step, it can be a great headache when it comes to year-end time, with your advisor charging a small fortune to fix those errors. And finally, the time zone is just making sure you have the right area selected so that all of the date stamps on your invoices, etc. are correct. And you can select that from the drop down here, however it does default to your location. So I'll just go back to the advanced accounting. You can also set up tax rates depending on your country or region's requirements from this advanced settings page here, just by clicking on tax rates. And here you can add, edit or delete tax rates relevant to your region. And we do suggest getting in touch with your financial advisor or accountant if you do need help with this. So let's take a look at where we're at. Organization details, done. Users, done. Financial settings, done. So we have most of our foundations ready to go. But if we do go ahead and start entering information now, there'll be one crucial element a bit off. Accounting for your business is all about categorizing money coming in or money going out into different pots, which now brings me to the chart of accounts in Xero. You need to have a chart of accounts so that you can file every dollar coming through your bank account to the appropriate place. In the same respect, your chart of accounts should also be relevant to your business. It's therefore an important element in the setting up process when moving across to Xero. So to get to the chart of accounts, you can click on here, or if you weren't on this page, you'd go Accounting and then Chart of Accounts. So when you sign up to Xero, you can elect to use Xero's default chart of accounts, or you can import a chart of accounts of your choice. And your chart of accounts is important as it determines how you code your business transactions in Xero. And so there are 5 account types in the chart of accounts as displayed on the top here. So these are assets, liabilities, equity, expenses, and revenue. So get in touch with your advisor if you need to know more about these specific account types. And it's likely that you will want to use this default chart that Xero provides you, especially during this new transition into Xero, as it gives you a starting point to then customize to your own needs. And this default chart has the most common types of account codes that we see from other people using Xero. However, if you did want to customize these accounts to best suit your needs, it's super simple. All you need to do is click into the account name, and you can change the name and away you go. So I'll just change other revenue to rental revenue to suit my business, and I'll click Save. You can even easily add a new account code from scratch, and you just do this by clicking on the Add Account button, and this pop-up box will open up and just ask for information about this new account, and you just need to fill in a few of these details. So you need to fill in what account type this is, so whether it's an expense, income, asset, etc. And the account type just determines where in the reports the accounts will show. So for example, an expense account type will show in the profit and loss statement, or an asset account type will show in the balance sheet. And you can use this guide on the right hand side just to help you identify the appropriate account type for the account that you're creating. Next, you need to add a unique code, and in Xero you can make account codes whatever you like. They can be 10-digit alphanumeric, meaning that you can have both letters and numbers. You then just need to give an account name, which is going to appear in the transactions and reports. So that's just a short title for that account. And you can enter an optional description below and just detail how that account should be used. And lastly, the tax rate will determine whether a transaction will include sales tax when you use the account code. And you'd use the tax rate relevant to your region. And it's that easy and can be done within a matter of seconds. However, let's say you wanted to change a lot of accounts to make them specific to your business. So instead of adding them manually, which could become a little time consuming, you could export the chart of accounts template and make the adjustments there. So to do this, you'd click the Export button, which downloads the chart of accounts templates. So I'll now open this up and show you what it looks like. This is a chart of accounts template, and the most important columns that must be filled out before re-importing back in are the ones with the asterisks next to it. So these are code, name, type, and tax code. Also, it's important to note that the asterisk columns need to be filled out exactly how you would see them in Xero, especially in this tax code column. So you'd type it out exactly how you'd see that in Xero, and the tax rates will be specific to how you account for tax in your own region. And if you wanted to make any adjustments to these account names to make them specific to suit your business, you can do so here. So let's say I wanted to change advertising to marketing expenses. This is making it more relevant to my business. I can do so by overriding it here. I can also add new accounts if I wish and delete accounts from this chart of accounts. And by importing your chart of accounts after changes are made, it means you can still use the same account names that you've been previously using on your spreadsheets. And this helps to keep the process simple for you in the future when it comes to coding your transactions. So once you've made all your changes and added any new account lines, you just need to jump back into Xero and you can click the Import button. So one important thing to note on re-importing is that once you import this chart of accounts template with the changes, these will override the default chart of accounts that you just had. Now remember, if you do find this tricky, which it can be at times, you can always ask your advisor to help you out. Or when in doubt, just use Xero's default chart of accounts. So we're nearly done with the chart of accounts. There's just one more thing. We need to add our bank account in Xero. So to do this, we'll click Add Bank Account. And then you just need to search for your bank. So I'll select my bank. And just to clarify, this would be your business bank account, not your personal bank account. And I'm not going to do this now, but during the process, you will be prompted to connect your online business bank account in Xero if you wish. And connecting your business bank account in Xero allows your bank feeds to be sent directly into your Xero organization. And bank feeds are your statement lines from your online bank account, which then flow directly into Xero automatically ready for you to code. It's a fast and efficient way to reconcile your bank account. So for today, I'll just click Skip. And then you'll be directed to fill in more account details, such as your account name. So that's the name that appears on your business bank statement. So I'm just going to type in my business account. Your account code is an optional unique code for this account, which today we'll leave blank. And then you just need to select what type of bank account this is. So I'm going to select everyday, as this is my everyday business bank account. And then you just need to enter your bank account number. And if you did want to add another business bank account into your Xero organization, you can do so by clicking Add Another Account. And then you just click Continue. So great, our business account has now been added into Xero. Awesome, so we've just seen how simple it is to change account codes and names in the chart of accounts, as well as how to make changes to the template if you wanted to import your own chart of accounts. Now we need to start bringing in the information into Xero, and a crucial piece of information is the conversion balances. So to complete this conversion process, we now need to go to the conversion balances screen. And so to go there, you'd click on Accounting, Advanced, and Conversion Balances on this bottom right corner. And we want to enter our conversion balances at our conversion date. So what is a conversion date, I bet you're asking? Well, just like we discussed earlier, a conversion date is the date that you want to start using Xero. It's the day that you've drawn a line in the sand and have said, from this day we will no longer be using our Excel spreadsheets and will only be using Xero. So now that we get the conversion date, your conversion balances are the opening balances of all accounts the day before you start using Xero. So your conversion date is important as it sets the date that you need to obtain your account balances at conversion. For example, if the date I started using Xero was the 1st of May 2020, I would bring in all my account balances on the 30th of April 2020, which would form my opening balances in Xero. So let's go ahead and click on this conversion date button and just make sure our conversion date is May 2020. And yep, it is, so that's great. And you can also see next to conversion date, we have an Add Comparative Balances button. So now if my business has been operating for over one financial year, I will probably have financials created by my advisor. And if this is the case, I may want to enter those here as comparative balances, so that I can see my previous year against my current year in reports. However, this can get a bit tricky and I would recommend leaving it for your advisor to do at year end. And normally you'd just start entering your account balances on this screen in the debit and credit column shown here. And this just depends on your account types. So if they were expenses, there'd be a debit, and if they were income, there'd be a credit, and so on. And Xero does help to guide you with the zeros against each account, just to indicate the usual balances that the accounts do have. But it can be a little more complicated than this, especially when just making the move to Xero. So today we're just going to talk through the key conversion balances just to get you started. And then you or your advisor can jump back here at a later date and add your other opening balances for your accounts. And that's the beauty with conversion balances in Xero. You can come back here and start up again where you left off. So I'll just jump back into my slides. And the key conversion balances to start with are your bank account balance just before converting to Xero, and you'd get this from your online banking or paper bank statement. Your accounts receivable balances, so any outstanding invoices that you're waiting to receive payment from your customers. And your accounts payable balances, so your outstanding bills that are yet to be paid to your creditors. For those of you who have not been trading and are a brand new business, conversion balances are not required, since there will be no balances of accounts as you're brand new. So you'd be starting fresh and don't need to worry about this. However, for most other scenarios, at least some form of conversion balance is necessary. So as I said, we will just be covering the crucial conversion balances in today's session, so you can then get going and start your journey with Xero. So let's go ahead and enter these balances, starting with the bank balance. So I'll go back into Xero, and let's say my bank account from my online bank statement is showing that I have $10,105.54 on the 30th of April 2020. We would want to pop this on the debit side if it is in a positive cash balance, and on the credit side if it is a negative cash balance, for example, an overdraft. So a lot of people commonly think that you would need to enter this into the credit side because on your bank statement it shows as a credit balance. But this is just because you and your bank are looking at the balance from different perspectives. It's important to make sure that you get the column right, and it's always opposite from what your bank statement says. So since I have a positive bank balance, I'm going to pop it in the debit side. So that was $10,105.54 at the 30th of April 2020. Awesome! Next up is the accounts receivable balance and our accounts payable balance. So you will only have these balances if you are sending out invoices to customers and or entering bills in your Excel spreadsheets. So if you were using Excel or Word, you'd just need to manually add up the totals of the invoices and bills that were unpaid and enter them into the respective accounts that they relate to. When we enter an invoice into Xero, the balance of the invoice is counted as revenue, but it also sits as money that is owed to us, called an accounts receivable balance. And when we enter bills, it is counted as an expense, but it also sits as money owed to other people, which is called an accounts payable balance. So money owed to you is a debit, and money that you owe to others is a credit. And we need to make sure we enter these respective balances in here, as Xero will then encourage us to also enter the outstanding invoices and bills that relate to this. So once our customers pay us or we pay our suppliers, we can mark those invoices and bills as paid, and we have an accurate record of what money people owe us and what we owe to other people. So since I have outstanding invoices sent out to customers totaling $12,000 on the 30th of April 2020, which I do have supporting invoices for, I'm going to enter this into the debit column next to accounts receivable. So that was $12,000 at 30th April 2020. And since I have one outstanding bill from my supplier totaling $11,000, on the 30th of April 2020, I'm going to enter that on the credit side here next to accounts payable. Awesome. So we have those three crucial conversion balances entered in this conversion balance screen. So we can hit save. But before we do this, I do just want to alert you to this differences here in the adjustments account. You don't need to worry too much about this now, and you can get your advisor to help you out with this. Pretty much, there's a balance here when your debit and credit columns don't match, and this may be because you have other balances that need to be entered. Again, it's easy to look at this at a later date and get your advisor to help you out with this. So I'll hit save. And Xero will now redirect us into this next step to save our conversion balances, which is our Sales Invoices screen. So since we had balances in our accounts receivable and accounts payable accounts, we now need to tell Xero what exactly makes up these balances in order to proceed any further. So when we want to enter our outstanding invoices and bills, we have two options. We can simply go ahead and click Add Invoice or Bill, depending on what screen you're in. And that's if you only have a few. Or else, if we have a larger number of invoices and bills, to save time, we might want to import these at once. So today I'm going to take you through both options, and you can decide what you feel most comfortable with. I'll take you through bulk invoicing for our sales invoices, and then manual entry within the screen for our bills. So in order to save the accounts receivable conversion balance, Xero requires supporting documentation. So in other words, if you are telling Xero at the 30th of April 2020, $12,000 is owed to you, Xero needs a record of the corresponding invoices that relate to this balance. So I'll now just jump in to my sales invoice template, which details the invoices owed to me on the 30th of April. So again, like the chart of accounts, we need to pay important attention to the asterisk columns and fill these out before importing back into Xero. If these aren't filled out, Xero will not import this template. And it's important that you copy your company-specific list of outstanding invoices from your spreadsheets and paste them into this template here before importing into Xero. So you can see that this template lists out my customers that I'm awaiting payment from. The invoice number, the invoice date and due date, a description of what it is, so for example, sales, the quantity and unit amount, and if we total this up, you can see that it sums $12,000, which was our accounts receivable balance. You then need to enter the account code, and remember, you do have the chart of accounts to help you with this. I just coded these transactions to 200, which is sales. And you need to enter your region-specific tax type. And you need to enter it exactly how you would see it in Xero in order for Xero to import this template. So I'll jump back into Xero. And since we're not entering our sales invoices manually and going through the add invoice, in another tab I'll take you to the sales invoices screen. So you go business, invoices. So I'll jump onto that. And this is where you'd go ahead and create the invoices for your customers. And as you can see, running along the top of the screen, we have a few options. And today I'm going to select Import. And here you would start by downloading this template file to fill out so that it's in the format that's compatible with Xero. This is a template that I just showed you, which I filled in for my company-specific data for sales. And it's best to use this file since it has the correct column headings Xero needs to import your invoice data. So I'd click Browse and select the Sales Invoice template. And then there are some options for us to select below. It first asks us whether we would like to update contract address details, which I'll select No, as I didn't have any in this template. It then asks, is the unit amount field tax inclusive or tax exclusive? So if you select tax exclusive, Xero will add sales tax on top of the unit prices that you enter. And if you select tax inclusive, Xero will assume the unit prices you entered already include sales tax. So for today, I'm going to select tax inclusive, as the unit prices in my spreadsheet included sales tax. So I'll then click Import and complete import. And a good check to pay attention to is on this top right here, where we can see the total of our invoices are 12,000, and that's the balance in our accounts receivable account, so that's great. And then we just need to select these invoices here and click Approve. And we must approve these from draft for them to be acknowledged in the conversion process, or else Xero won't pick them up and we won't be able to proceed any further with our conversion balances. And you can follow the same process but from the bill side if there is a large amount of bills to import. So you do this by going Business and then Bills to Pay, and then following that same process that we just did but from the bill side. So now let's go back into our conversion balance screen. I'll hit refresh, and great, you can see that our two invoices have matched our accounts receivable balance, which we just imported. So now that these have matched, we can now proceed to our bills. So we'll click Next. So you'll see that we have a similar screen to what we had before, but on the top it's now for our bills. And if we're just talking about one or two bills, it's best just to enter them straight from this purchaser screen instead of bulk importing. So I'm going to take you through that now. So in order to save the accounts payable conversion balance of 11,000, Xero requires supporting documentation. So in other words, if you're telling Xero at the 30th of April 2020, 11,000 is owed to you, Xero needs a record of these corresponding bills that relate to this balance. So to do this, you just click Add Bill, and you just state who the bill is from. So in my example, it's GHI Limited. And I have an outstanding bill from GHI Limited for legal fees relating to my business. So then you need to enter the invoice date, which is the 30th of April 2020, and the due date. So for me, this is the 20th of May 2020. You can then enter a reference number. So I'm just going to say 1234, as that is the invoice number on my bill. And the description down below is optional. You can choose to enter it if you wish, and that would just be for what the bill was for. But for today, I'm just going to leave it blank. I'd then enter the quantity of 1 and the unit price of $11,000, as I had one bill relating to legal fees for $11,000. You then code it to the account which it relates to, and remember you do have the chart of accounts template to look at. And so since this is for legal fees, I'll code it to 441 legal expenses. And then your region's specific tax rate will be auto-populated based on the account type from your chart of accounts. And the box amounts here has already been set to tax inclusive, and that's what we selected in our financial settings when we were just getting started, if you remember near the start of the session. So we then just need to click Save. And there we go. We can see that the bill has now matched our accounts payable conversion balance. So Xero makes the conversion process super simple, and you can do it within a matter of minutes as long as you've got the right information. So as long as all your invoices entered add up to the same balance you have entered for your accounts receivable, and all of the bills add up to the same balance of your accounts payable, the conversion balances should save here with no problem. If they don't, you simply need to go back and check your invoices or bills. It might be that you might have missed some or incorrectly included the wrong values. And again, if you are having a lot of trouble with this process and are unable to find the issue, it's probably best to contact your advisor to help with getting the two balances to match. Also, just choose the option that you're most comfortable with while getting used to Xero. So whether that's manually entering your invoices or bills from this conversion balance screen, or bulk importing them via the template by going through Invoices or Bills to Pay. So let's take a look at what we've set up today. Let's click Next. So let's take a look at what we've set up today. We have our bank account set up and checked this with our online banking or paper bank statement. We have our chart of accounts set up, and we have our invoices and bills brought in from our spreadsheets. And we've either imported them using Xero's template or have manually entered them through the conversion process. As you can see, converting to Xero doesn't need to be hard, and you just need to do the bare minimum to get up and started. And you may also see on the right hand side of this conversion balances screen, there's a box saying starting with the right numbers, which is a helpful guide where Xero just reiterates what I've gone through today and goes step by step into getting your conversion balances set up correctly. So I'd strongly recommend you to have a read of this before converting, just to make sure you fully understand the process. It's a great supporting guide. And if you need a bit more support, then click Get More Help here, and this will redirect you to a supporting page in Xero Central. Xero Central is our supercharged help center, where you can search for a keyword on this support tab here. For example, conversion. And you'll be provided with an array of knowledge articles that lists out tips, ideas, and even step-by-step instructions to help you out. Still to this day, Xero Central is often my first port of call for finding out how to do something. You can also head to the learning side of Xero Central on this learning tab, where we often have webinars and courses to help with a lot of what you're doing in Xero. So I'll now just jump back into my slides. To summarize the main points we've covered in today's session, we'll go through the following steps. Identify. It's best to identify when you want to convert, that is, when you want to start using Xero. So remember, this could be at the start of a sales tax period or your current financial year, or you can even start when your company opened up if you wish, even if that was a few years ago. Next up, gather. Remember to gather all the relevant information, such as your previous year's financial statements for your account balances if you have them, your outstanding debtors invoices, as well as your outstanding bills to creditors. Don't forget to use your closing bank balance per your bank account and conversion date as well. That's a key step. Lastly, convert. So you can import your chart of accounts in Xero if you want to change many accounts for them to be specific to your business. And during the conversion process, don't forget to add the outstanding bills and invoices into Xero to validate the balances that you've entered. And you can do this via bulk importing or manual entry in the conversion balances screen. And lastly, as a check, make sure your bank balance in Xero matches your bank balance from your online or paper bank statement. So, having the right information all in one place allows you to be able to make informed decisions when looking at your reports and accounts. And here at Xero, it's never been easier to convert from your spreadsheets just by following a few of these simple steps. Great, so now that you've mastered the basics of converting to Xero from spreadsheets, you're mostly there. However, you should check out that learning tab on Xero Central, which I was just on before, as it contains helpful next steps to further assist you in the transition. So thank you so much for joining in on today's session, which was converting from spreadsheets to Xero. Please check out Xero Central to register for other webinars or courses that we're running. Thanks again for your time today. And for now, be kind, take care, and we hope to see you again soon.